What's going on, people of YouTube? This is like my fourth take, but that's okay. Wanted to talk more about loot boxes. It's been a little while since I've talked about them. Wanted to get back to it and wanted to just leave you guys hanging. At least until this is all dealt with, so I'll occasionally still talk about this. Although I don't see it ever being completely dealt with. I could see them maybe putting regulations up to where game companies learns like, okay, if we're going to do this, we need to do it differently. Okay, fine. Nonetheless, let's get started. I was reading Engadget, and the article is basically just Washington State wants video games with loot boxes to list the chances of obtaining items. And this is more so of like the senator. He or she is pushing more for this. I guess I should have looked more into what the name was, but shame on me, that's not important. Yeah, I get that. Saying that's not really going to change the fact that I should have done better research. But anyway, what do I mean by the chances of obtaining items? Basically, they need to list... Okay, so chances. Let's say you're going to get a powerful sword. It's $4.99 for this loot box or loot crate, whatever. I call them loot boxes. Same thing. And this may not be like the best description of percentages, but it's just what I came up with. So you can pay $4.99. You might get a powerful sword. There's a 15% chance you will. On the other hand, maybe you'll get a knife. There's a little higher percent. Well, it's more than a little. 35%. And then 50% chance you'll get in-game currency. You use this currency to buy... Maybe you could use that powerful weapon. Or, excuse me, the powerful sword. But you're only gonna get 500 coins, but you get them faster from microtransactions. Well, yeah, basically microtransactions, but this loot box. So either way, you're gonna get one of these, and it's much slower to get the coins by actually playing. But it's free that way. Anyway, that's what I'm saying. It's not the best description of obtaining items or percentages, but that's just what I came up with. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So, that's what they need to do. EA is not doing that. Bungie supposedly is starting to do that. I know they're also throttling game progressions, or like you're not leveling up or whatever as much as you're supposed to, and they've came out and said, we're sorry, we'll do better. We learned we need to do better. We won't mess up again or something. And I might make a video about that next time or something. Because that's really interesting. And that's one I'm thinking about doing. So, yeah, Star Wars Battlefront 2, yay, they screwed up with that. Engadget was even saying people basically will probably remember Battlefront 2 for loot boxes, not for the actual gameplay, but for loot boxes. The remake, anyway. Maybe I don't know about the original. I might have played the original one on, I think, PS2, but I can't remember. I played something on PS2. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, but I wanted to bring that up. In addition to this, Apple now requires all games on the App Store to list chances of obtaining items. And I think that's really good for Apple. I wish they went a little further and maybe not I wish they would ban loot boxes. Okay, that's kind of what I wish they did. But you know what? What they did, that was good. I'm happy Apple did that. Thank you for doing that, Tim Cook. I don't think it was so much his decision. Well, yeah, he's the CEO, but I don't know if that was his idea or someone just came up to him. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Good job, Apple. I wish you took a further step, but what you did is acceptable. So that's really good. And I noticed with it's actually a Sonic game that was released last December. Sonic Runners Adventure. It was a sequel to Sonic Runners. That game didn't do very well. I don't know why. Their other Sonic Dash, that did fine. They both have microtransactions. I don't know. Anyway, I don't believe any Sega games, at least I played a bunch of Sega games, not just Sonic, but any Sega games on my phone, my iPhone. I don't believe any of them have loot boxes. It seems with Runner's Adventure, yes, a different studio co-developed it or whatever, but you pay up front. I don't know if Sega was worried about, we don't want to get into this, even though there's no loot boxes in it. I don't know. Some people are upset about microtransactions as well. Loot box is basically a microtransaction, but it's not as bad as microtransactions aren't generally as bad as loot boxes. So about the game, you got in-game currency. However, you were not allowed to purchase any other in-game currency. You had to keep playing. There was no other way to get it. And it was kind of like the Sonic Adventure games, where you could get rings through the levels. That's the only way to get rings. Then you can go to the Chow Gardens and purchase stuff with them. So I kind of like how they sort of went back to that. Yeah, you can buy power-ups too. But so it's kind of like microtransaction style, just without the microtransactions. And I think Sega did a really good job at that. It might take a little longer, although I wasn't even that great at the game, and I really had no trouble with it. Even with the continues, I was not good at the game, I'll admit that. At least the bosses. And it was microtransaction style, but no microtransactions. So you'd have to play it, because obviously I can't explain it that well. So, but yeah, that's just one example. In addition, I also wanted to mention Blizzard. Again. Yeah, with Blizzard is being pressured with Hearthstone, I almost said Skyrim for whatever reason, Overwatch, and I don't know if this was on the, I don't think this was on the list, but I know there was some trouble with Destiny 2, and they're getting pressured a lot. They need to put percentage chances or something to tell the gamer, you're probably not going to win this, but if you're going to pay for this, there's a low chance you'll get this, but they'll say all that. I mean, it doesn't have to be like 100% accurate. Well, okay, some people might say it will be, but you know, if they had some kind of estimation, it's like, well, you might get this, you might not. You're probably gonna get this thing. You'll get something, but yeah. So I don't necessarily like the government getting into video games, but at the same time, when game companies aren't willing to change, and like even people, I mean, I don't see people like just straight up buying their games. Because I feel like that would be the only way to justify this, and that's probably not going to happen. But they're making less money, like EA at least. But it doesn't seem to matter. They're still doing it. They're losing money, but if you're losing money, why would you do something to lose money if you know it's not going to do well? I don't know. Or maybe they think it will do well, but it's obviously not doing well. So it just doesn't make sense. Maybe also the government, again, I'd really prefer them to stay out of this. I'm not saying we shouldn't have any laws. No, but obviously this is a case where we need some regulations. And yeah, you could also say parents need to watch their kids better. And okay, I can kind of agree to that. Maybe that is part of the problem. But I still think there would be a problem. It might eliminate it a little bit, but there would still be a problem. So EA's not going to learn, obviously. Maybe the government going after them, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy for saying this, but maybe it'll benefit EA in the end. Maybe later on, they'll make more money. Although, I don't know. It might just be too late. Maybe they'll do better in the future. Probably not. I don't know. But who knows? Anyway, hopefully EA fixes themselves. No sexual puns included. But hopefully this will go into effect, or at least scare developers, which obviously it's not doing. So I feel like they're going to need to put it in effect, or nothing's going to change. And yes, I'm sure EA will try to make workarounds. Maybe they'll try to do DLC instead. It's like, okay, we're going to do the same thing with DLC, but we're not going to tell our customers that. Yeah. There's always something that's going to be going on, though. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. That's all I wanted to say for the most part. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.